slid out from the bottom, giving it play in the actual hinge portion itself. And then now it's rubbing right around here. So every time you close the door, it hits. So let's see. So as you can see, it's already rubbing right there. And then as it closes, it slides into it right in there, causing it to rust and causing the wear on the panel itself. So first of all, I decided to record this after the fact, but I figure it's good information because this spring is hard to get out. Originally I started with the valve spring puller, real skinny one, and this clamps down on the valve springs. This is actually for a motorcycle valve spring remover, and the reason for that is because it was tiny enough to fit in there with this door all the way open, but it's not small enough because of the width here. Okay, so in order to get this out, of course it's compressed in there like that. As you can see, it just barely fits through the doorway. Okay, the door jamb area. I took a pry bar about this size, stuck it in between one of the coils and pried it out this way, and it popped out. Be careful because it will fly out at you. This is compressed down to about half its size when the door is open. Okay, so keep that in mind, and wear safety glasses just in case. My head was up here looking down, so it kind of helped. This door jamb helped block it just in case it did fly up. I still didn't want to get hit with it. And the way to reinstall this would be put a zip tie here, and compress it. What I'm going to do is put it in the vise, compress it, and put those zip ties in. It may take about 4 or 3, we'll see, but just a little tip, and we'll see how easy it is to put this back in, because these valve spring compressors are still a little too bulky for getting in this tight door jamb here. So figured this is a little tip on how to reinstall this and how to do this instead of you fighting with it, because I know it's a pain in the butt. So we'll just continue to fast forward through this and see how hard it is. Okay, so to get the rest of this out, panel removal tool. We use this tool a lot, so I highly recommend investing in one. You pull up on this little keeper here, looks like a hat, and it pops that out. So that's all it is. Remember the direction it came off in. It has like a little rim right on the inside right there, that face down, and the soften on top. I don't know if it really matters, but that's how it came off. You should get one in your new package for the pins and stuff. And then, so I believe you're gonna have to lift up on the door and let this drop down. You might need a tiny hammer like this, a little ball peen hammer, to tap down on it like that. Then your pin should drop out. One thing to remember is have someone hold the door, so it may be a 2-person job, or use a floor jack to put underneath it to lift it up. Okay, so when it goes flush right there, you can't hit it no more with the hammer, so you could try to use some pliers in there. It's like some adjustable needle nose or needle nose pliers or channel locks, vice grips or whatever you want to call them. Or you may want to get a punch and punch that down. It's recommended to not use hard stuff that's a steel. On that, you might as well use like aluminum or brass, so that way this doesn't mushroom out. But since I got a new pin, it doesn't really matter to me. So whatever fits in that hole is what you want to put in there to knock that pin out. But as you can see, you're limited to space once more, so it's always good to have it different sizes. So as you can see, what I did was I used the floor jack, and I used the old t-shirt put under there, jacked it up to level this back out. This little bellows right here kind of kept the pin up. Okay, as you can see right between there, there's another copper spacer bushing, and then the other one should go at the bottom of this. So I think originally I might have messed up and it may have needed to go between the two. So I'm gonna have to probably lift up this door and put it in between. I'll have to check the other one to verify that, but I think for now that's where it needs to go. I think it was at the bottom, so let me fix that. Either that or it on the ring itself, this portion hogged out and cut this off, and that's why it fell down. I'm not sure, because this is all I have of it. Okay, so I was correct. The flange should be sitting between this piece of metal and this piece of metal, so right in between there. Same thing with here. It should be underneath the top of the actual hinge going this way, and on top of the hinge going this way. So in between there is where the flange should be, and then the rest of it sits down. To do that, you're gonna have to probably take off this pin completely and kind of lean back the door so that way you could hit it in there. Okay, and then if you still need more room, you're gonna have to take off both pins and slide them up and slide everything back. Okay, so as you can see, it does fit, and basically what I did was I put the jack forward to lift up the front, kind of leaned it down, and I used this punch, a larger one, and of course a heavier hammer to set this in, and it seated in pretty nice. I left the pin hanging because I'm not going to do the bottom. The bottom's still in there. I just did the top, the area I need it, and also I went and checked the transmission fluid, because it's always good when you're working on any component just to always check your transmission fluid and oil levels. Just make it a routine, so that way you kind of get in the habit of always checking them, because sometimes you leak oil, especially older vehicles. They typically leak oil right in this area, and then also on the transmission shaft where the speed sensor is. The O-rings go out and the seals go out and slowly drip. So I checked the transmission oil, kind of let this warmed up while I was working on this, and then checked it while it was running for the transmission fluid. The oil, of course, I let sit, and then pulled the dipstick on that while it was still cold, so all the oil goes to the bottom of the pan and it's not built up in the heads, because if you check it while it's running, the oil is going to be sloshing up and down and it's going to read on the dipstick wrong. And not only that, it's going to be hard to read, and most of your oil is stuck up in the head, so it's going to look like it's low, and then you're going to pour more oil and then you're going to end up overfilling it. So make sure when you check the oil, the car's been sitting. Okay, so what I do recommend to get it to go in perfectly is use some channel locks. These ones are lockjaw, but you pinch the bottom and it'll allow it to shift up and give you enough clearance to slide this forward. Okay, so that's one thing, is to line up this end of it to slide in. That's the hardest part, that and taking out the spring. Once you get all that in, you should be good. Okay, what I recommend on how to get that hat on is use a socket, something like this, or a tube on a long shaft. Put it in here, run it up through this area, and then tap it down with the hammer so it seats it flush. Make sure it's snug or else it'll bend. Those are like real thin stainless or something like that. So yeah, definitely be aware of that. So I don't recommend these copper bushing coated things. if you can get a different style, because as I was sliding this door in, it did cut half of the hat portion off, or the little collar portion. So if you look on, let's see, right here. So if you look at these, right, you can see the little flange in the insert. This flange sits up on the top side of it. So this piece on the flange sits up on top of this, and when it was going in, the pressure of this just cut half of it off for no apparent reason. These are real soft. I don't know, I don't like them, but I had them, so I might as well use them. These are the ones I have. I think I bought them on Amazon a while back when I did both of the pins, and I think that's why it broke again in the first place. So buy OEM if you can. But for now, we'll leave it like that and then put the spring on.
You're living on your nerves. When someone drops a cup and I submerge, I'm swimming in a circle. I feel I'm going down. There has to be a fall to play in my bar. But someone thought of healing, but all I really wanna know, oh, won't you shout it away every day? I want you to shout it away. Oh, I want you day after day.
Okay, so when you can't get out, just use a little torch or a lighter and burn them out. And then they pop. There you have it. Now you just got to pull them out. Eventually they'll all fall off. Alright, so that's going to complete today's video. It's a pain in the ass to get those on, that spring. And basically I went to the outside on both of them to pinch it together, because what would happen is the zip ties would stretch as soon as the pressure was let go. So I had to run one big one and then two small ones, three small ones, and that held it together. But definitely a pain in the butt. A lot of pressure under, a lot of pressure pushing outward, tension on this bar once it's released. So keep that in mind. Be careful when doing this, because yeah, if that thing goes off and your fingers are in there, it'll crush them. So keep that in mind too. I don't recommend doing this unless you are willing to basically pinch your fingers or perhaps crush them. I'm not willing to do that, so I used all the precautions I could, such as this. I held the larger zip tie with these needle nose pliers and put it in there before I popped them. So that's going to complete today's video. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, see y'all in the next one.
I feel so